Hello, friends. It's Dr. John WorldPeace JD coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Christmas Day 2023. Today, I'm going to commentary is titled Christmas Day, December 25, 2023. Dr. John WorldPeace Partial Biography. Friends, the day has finally come when the commitment I made before being born to devote my life to increasing the peace in the world human society has reached an obvious to me launch date. I'm 75 years old and it's taken me 75 years to complete my training to fully launch the commitment I made before being born to devote this life to increasing the peace in the world human society. On April 1, 1988, after my first divorce and 3 weeks before I turned 40, it was clear to me that I needed to change my name to define my life's purpose. We are all named by our parents at birth, but seldom do our birth names reflect our life's work, no matter what it is. April 1, 1988 was Good Friday. It was also April Fool's Day, which I always found interesting. One tradition, Good Friday, was about transition, and another tradition about foolish things people do in their life. You cannot know when you make these commitments how they will change your life. My life has been one of miracles, not get-rich miracles. Even though I built 5 businesses in insurance, accounting, tax, law, web design, that my 2 wives and one of my 4 children destroyed. All those businesses were miraculous in their beginnings. In fact, my whole life has been marked by unlimited miracles. One of the most significant to me was being drafted into the Army on October 12, 1970, 6 weeks after graduating from college with a BA in political science degree from the University of Houston. I worked full-time through 10 years of college. I didn't have any scholarships and I didn't borrow any money. One of the most significant, on December 1, 1969, the USA held a draft lottery for men born between January 1, 44 and December 31, 1950. I was born on April 24th, 1948. My birth date was the second on the drawing. So being in good health, I knew that after graduating college in the summer of 1970, I was going into the Army. I'd signed up to go to the Marine Corps Officer Candidate School and was accepted, but in early summer, July 7th, 1970, I received a letter from the Marines saying my class had been canceled and I was discharged. Sometime in 1968, I had signed up to go into the Air National Guard out of Houston, Texas. I would have gone into the Army for 6 months and then be put into the Air National Guard as a weekend warrior for 5.5 years. They did call me to come join in early 1970, but I decided that I did not want to be a weekend warrior and be obligated for 2 weeks each summer, and I saw no reason to go into the military and not go overseas. So I told them I changed my mind. What was interesting is that George W. Bush was a pilot out of that Air National Guard in 1970. So I would have definitely had interaction with him, which would have been interesting. When I arrived at Fort Polk, Louisiana, October 12, 1970, they were sending 2,000 guys a week to Vietnam. 8 weeks boot camp, 12 weeks advanced infantry training, 2 to 3 weeks home, then to Vietnam. I signed up to go to NCO school, sergeant school, which was 12 more weeks of infantry training, followed by 12 weeks as an assistant drill sergeant, then 2 weeks off, then to Vietnam. I signed up for this duty because my wife got pregnant in November 1970, and I wanted to be stateside when the baby was born. By going to NCO school, I would not leave the USA until September 1970, about 6 weeks after our baby was to be born. In September 1970, I reported to 1971. I reported to Fort Dix, New Jersey, to ship out to Vietnam. When I arrived there and reported in, I was assigned to the Army Adjunct of NATO Forces in Vicenza, Italy, CTAF, Southern European Task Force. All that training, 11 months, to go to Vietnam, be an infantry sergeant. I was sent to Italy. As a draftee, that was miraculous. What was most interesting to me was that my unit patch had one word on it. In every unit in the Army, you have a patch that designated what unit you're in. My CTAF patch said PAX on it, which is Latin for peace. Nixon was fulfilling his commitment to end the Vietnam War in 1972, and I was given 5 months early discharge, and so I came back from Italy in May 1972. I did not have to do any weekend warrior duty. All the guys that were being discharged needed the extra cash of being in the Army Reserve, so I didn't have to go. My military duty was a God event. I was never going to Vietnam, even though I was trained for 11 months to go there. I have lived a very intense 24/7 life my whole life. I have 3 degrees in political science, accounting, and law, and have been self-employed 95% of my career. Married twice, 4 kids with the first wife, all close to 50 now. I speak to none of them, nor the ex-wives. Children are born of your body, but not necessarily of your soul, clan, or star seed. That is why so many families have black sheep children. I should have never married. My life agenda was going to be too intense from birth to present and beyond. As my father used to say, we get too soon old and too late smart. This year, 2023, I accepted my destiny as the only advocate for Jesus Christ. John 14:25. My job assignment is to bring the remembrance of Christians to all things that Jesus said. In a word, to straighten out the confusion that has crept into Christianity over 2,000 years. The Jews had an expectation of the coming Messiah 2,000 years ago, but what they expected was a warrior Messiah out of the sky with 1,000,000 angels to drive the Romans out of Israel. What they got was a Messiah born in a manger. What false preachers thought and taught about John 14:25 was also wrong. I built 5 significant businesses for my wives and children, which they destroyed. My first wife of 19 years was and is evil. I call her the snake to remind myself what she is. She abandoned the marriage and children in 1988 after 19 years and went off to find herself, I guess. 2 years later, God sent me a wife who is a person who just goes around doing good. I called her K-Bell Angel. When my 4 kids and her 2 were grown, after my youngest son destroyed our very successful business, the trauma and stress was too great, and Kay left in March 2007, also after 19 years. I've had 2 companions, not wives, after Kay left. The last one left in 2015. I've lived alone, but not alone, not lonely, and celibate since 2015. I am open to a relationship, but not looking. My entire life is on the internet at johnworldpeace.com. There's 18,000+ pages there. All of my other websites are linked from this website. My full autobiography will be published next year early. It has been written but not edited. The draft is on the internet from 1948 through 2008. But I will write the balance of that, 2008 to present, by the first of the year. I live a minimalist life by choice. No car, no assets but my small web design business. My art, johnworldpeaceart.com. My poetry, Dr John WorldPeace JD poetry.com. Link to my johnworldpeace.com website. I've written about 150 books, 125 on poetry. Others were religious and spiritual books. You can see King of Kings, Lord of Lords.com. Linked from johnworldpeace.com. I'm the only advocate for peace and world peace, and I have no peers in this. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Contribute at worldpeaceteachingpeace.com/contributions.asp, which is below this video in the notes. All things changed today, December 25th, 2023. The chaos began in 2019 between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday, 2019, when Notre Dame almost burned to the ground. And early next year is my understanding that it has been rebuilt and will be open again. Very interesting. After it burned down, within 6 months, we had COVID. And with COVID and Trump, the whole world not because just Trump. The whole world has gotten more and more and more chaotic. Global warming is the overriding issue. Russia and Ukraine, the Zionists trying to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian territories, starting with Gaza, the West Bank, and all the rest of the territories, to reestablish in their mind the state of Israel. Well, the state of Israel exists, but I can give you a little preview, not for long. I'll cut another video about that later on today. Have a nice Christmas. Things are going to get very chaotic starting tomorrow and going into high gear January 1, 2025. I'll have a lot of videos about all of it. Have happy holidays. Thanks for your consideration.